and today the waltz persists as the oldest of ballroom dances and perhaps the best loved. The tango was born in Argentina and is sharp and dynamic, featuring dramatic transitions using pointing actions and a good deal of pivots and swivels. Most important in the tango is the strong lead of the man. The main difference is that there's a more intimate hold. In the 19th century, to the music of Johann Strauss, the Viennese waltz began to take on its characteristic form. It's a rotary dance with only 3 compulsory figures. And even though it looks as though you're simply holding a poise, you have to be very relaxed in order to carry it off. There shouldn't be any tension in the upper body. The legs should be allowed to swing underneath with the body held above. The slow foxtrot was introduced in 1914 by Harry Fox. It's a classical ballroom dance and perhaps the most difficult of all. It's a smooth dance characterized by traveling and feather steps. Originally danced at a fast foxtrot, but now is performed at both slow and fast tempos. A great variety of step patterns have been developed. Finally, the quick step. This dance developed during World War I in suburban New York. It has the same origin as the foxtrot, but in the 20s, many bands played the slow foxtrot too fast, which gave rise to many complaints. So it developed into 2 dances. The quick step now is a fast-moving dance, generating considerable speed. Well, the world's best amateur exponents of these 5 dances are all here in Bratislava, preparing to dance 6 rounds with 5 dances in each and 2 extra solo dances in the final. So the top pairs must dance 32 times in all, saving their best performances until last. For the young Russians Marek Gemayev and Alina Basyuk, who've only been dancing together for just over a year, it's quite an achievement even to be here.
Well, it is the first time we're taking part in World Standard Championship. And it is really exciting for us to be here and to participate. And the feeling is very good. We've done already 1 round, and it feels good.
For the German brother and sister pairing of Sasha and Natasha Karabay, the importance of the event can't be underestimated.
Well, at all, it's the world. There's only 1 competition like that in the world, and of course it's the most important competition that we have today, and it's the most important competition of the whole year.
Estonia's Korotin and Esko obviously agree, as they've chosen it as their introduction to standard competition.
It is our first competition, only in standard. An official competition. We haven't taken part. We have taken part in Latin and in 10 dances. So we are very happy that we got to the 24th. We don't know what is going to be next, but we are happy already now, because judges probably don't even know that we do standard also, so we don't know what to expect.
Well, the Estonian pair didn't make it any further, but 13 couples did. Crossley and Jones from England, along with 2 Italian couples, are among the favourites, while Dvorak and Valashova from the Czech Republic are one of the surprise couples making it through. Another surprise, but good news for the local fans, the Slovakian pairing of Kuznetsov and Tomasovichova, while no surprise to see world #1s Roberto Villa and Michelle Barry through. So let's join the couples on the floor now at the start of the semi-final action and Heat 1 of the waltz. I'm joined by former South African 10-dance champion Greg de Vet and former UK International and World Masters champion Karen Hardy.
Her day was born in shades of blue, her song was sad.
The Lithuanians Arūnas Pizokas and Edita Daniute.
Yes, and dancing very well tonight. Recently at the Royal Albert Hall International Championships, they were just out of the final, so they're going to be working hard today to get into that final tonight.
Some love, some sunshine, Lady Day.
Yes, now we have one of the main contenders for the title, Jonathan Costley and Carly Jones.
Fomo and Chirea for Italy.
Yes, the Italians are coming through in great numbers at the moment. They seem to have a passion for this standard dancing.
It's such a lonely place.
And the world #1s, Roberto Villa and Michelle Barry.
So
Yes, I detect a much more subtle action in their dancing, Karen. It's much softer.
Yes, definitely, and an excellent display of rise and fall, as well as the combination of the swing and sway, which is the hardest of the technique to try and achieve in the waltz today.
So that's the end of the first heat of the waltz. We move on now to the second dance, the tango, and heat number 2.
Nighttime sharpens, heighten each sensation.
Yes, you know, Karen, I really was watching this young man, and I like the posture and shoulder line.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The other thing that I'm loving about tango today is the contrast of the actions to the music, where one moment they'll hold it, the next minute they'll move very quickly and sharply, and then they'll show a soft movement as they did just then.
Weißen Schramm for Germany.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot more headlines being exaggerated by the lady, sometimes even going right over onto the man's shoulder. What do you think about that, Greg?
Yes, I've noticed that trend as well, Karen, and I think it's slightly out of character. Although the Argentinians did it a lot, I think we could do without it in standard dancing.
Can you belong to me?
Niko Kuznetsov and Petra Tomasovichova from Slovakia, the local favorites, and it's her last competition. She's retiring after this.
And there was one of those headlines that I was talking about earlier, Greg.
Well, the extension is okay. It's just when the lady rests her head on the man's shoulder, which I find rather distracting.
The power of the music of the night.
The end of the tango. And now to the second heat of the Viennese waltz. Wojak and Valishova from the Czech Republic. And they're at Crossley and Jones for England.
And they're showing an excellent sway here on the natural turn. And as you can see on the reverse, it's not so desirable to get so much sway, and it's been executed brilliantly here.
Yes, now there's a good example of Jonathan and Kylie. Nice sway in the natural turn.
This is a very challenging dance for these couples, as even though there's only 3 compulsory figures, they have to hold a position that can create a lot of tension in the girl's neckline, and they often have a lot of problems where the neck will release and fall backwards. But they're all doing very well today.
And there's the end of the Viennese waltz. Now on to the second heat of the slow foxtrot.
The reverse wave there, Greg, beautifully danced. One of the hardest steps for these couples to understand. The technique was fantastic.
Yes, they have a very, very subtle action, which I particularly like. Very good control, balance, poise, very together.
The Italians, Fermo and Chirea.
Another exciting couple, Karen.
Yeah, the skill of the standard dance is to hold that connection between the two couples. If you can see, we're trying not to get any gapping, and they're all dancing that superbly. It's very, very, very difficult to be able to do these moves today and not separate from each other.
Now there's a good example of body contact, not losing, just moving out of the way.
Our first good look at the Danes, Brian Eriksson and Marianne Eihilt.
A very elegant couple. They always have great presence on the floor.
Yes, they certainly do.
So that's the end of the slow foxtrot. We now move on to the last dance of the semi-finals, the second heat of the quick step. And the Slovenians there, Skufka and Venturini.
Very energetic quick step, Karen. I'm just worried about gapping of couples, as I think you might have mentioned earlier on.
Yeah, this is the dance where it's most easiest to lose that contact. The other thing that we find today in this dance is the timing. It's beginning to be, for want of a better word, abused a little bit, rushing through and not holding the timing enough sometimes, looking off time almost.
Yes, I would agree. I think people are going for a full effect and speed rather than a bit of technique. Now this couple, Mr. Skufka and Venturini, Karen, are really world 10 dance champions, I believe, and very, very good exponents of the Latin American dances.
Yes, we've seen them a lot on television for their Latin, but they seem to be doing remarkably well in their ballroom today. They're impressing me a great deal, Greg.
Yes, they are. Certainly doing well.
The end of heat 2 of the quick step. So the semi-finals are over, and the tension's mounting to see who will be among the 6 couples to make it through to the final. But Jitka Valishova of the Czech Republic just happy to have got as far as the semis.
We don't know how we finished. I think it's not very big possibility to be in the final, but we will be happy with any result now in the semi-final.
Denmark's Marianne Eihilt and partner Brian Eriksson use the time waiting for the results to relax and ensure that they're properly groomed for the next round. And they're feeling pretty confident.
So far it has been very good. The last round I think was one of the best that we have done, so that was nice to feel.
The Slovenians are well known for their Latin success, but what does it mean for them to appear here?
First of all, a great honor, because you represent your country. And second of all, you are compared to all the best couples from all over the world. So if you are successful at this competition, that means you're good.
It's a cool, crisp winter's afternoon in Lausanne, Switzerland. An afternoon like any other for most of the inhabitants of the picturesque town. But thanks to dance sport, one group of Lausanne residents could have a day to remember. A high-ranking delegation of the International Olympic Committee, which has its headquarters in the city, has been invited to watch a small competition to be held at the Palace Hotel. The delegation is expected to include IOC President Juan Antonio Samaranch, as well as many of the members who will influence the decision on whether dance sport can become a part of the Olympic programme, either at the 2004 Athens Games or 4 years later in 2008. For For the sport, it's an exciting prospect.
It is a very important evening for us. I mean, it's the highlight. We have waited for such a demonstration for many years. You know, this was a dream always, that we can have a dance sport demonstration in front of the IOC people. Executive board is here, the full athletic commission, the program commission is here, the winter program sports are also here. There are many other IOC officials, important people, and I think it's the greatest platform we ever had.
For the dancers chosen to take part, preparations are a little more nerve-wracking than usual. But it isn't just that the technical requirements are weighing heavily. They'll be dancing not just for personal or national pride, but for the future of their sport itself.
Well, it would certainly mean a lot to all of us, I think. This would be a whole new world for our sport, for our form of dancing. It would be a whole new experience. I'm sure it would only go for the better, so we'll see.
Some dancers have already had a taste of the Olympic experience during the sport's memorable contribution to the closing ceremony in Sydney.
Jane and I were on the centre stage, so we were a part of it, and the small taste we had of being in the Olympics was just awesome. So it's just, if it could carry on from that, it'd be great.
With night falling, the IOC members began to arrive. Amongst them, some of the key figures who decide the future programs of the Olympic Games. The demonstration also attracted some of the most famous names in Olympic history. French skier Jean-Claude Killy was amongst the first to arrive for the star-studded cocktail party. Kenyan running legend Kip Keino seemed to be enjoying himself, along with the Ukrainian pole vaulter Sergei Bubka. And Prince Albert of Monaco added a royal touch to the night as he chatted with the dancers. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for both dancers and administrators to showcase their sport to the Olympic movement.
It was an invitation made by the Dance Sport Federation, so the IOC is not going to look at anything. It's up to the International Federation to show something to the IOC. I've seen competition on dance sport, so I know a little bit how it is, so I come with pleasure because I like to see it a bit closer and try to understand better how it's performed.
As far as dance sport was concerned, the most important spectator, President Samaranch. As the delegates settled into their seats, they were about to be treated to a demonstration of athleticism, coordination and skill unlike anything they'd seen before.
I think it was very well organized by the International Federation, and I think now the members of the International Olympic Committee, many members that were there, many members of the executive board, they realized that sport dancing is really a sport.
I would hope that 2008 was on the cards. I think that depends on the reports that go into the IOC Executive Committee from the Programme Commission. I think it also depends on where the Games will be held and how sympathetic that venue would be to dance sport. Athens would be a total miracle and a major surprise.
Well, the miracle's not going to happen. It's been announced there'll be no new medal sports for Athens. There's still optimism, though, about 2008. And we can now look forward to seeing who's still around as we head back to the World Standard Championship in Bratislava. Well, Well, here's confirmation of the 6 couples making it through to the finals. The world number ones, Villa and Barry, and their compatriots Crossley and Jones from England. The 2 Italian couples are there, along with the Danes and the Lithuanians. Now they know they're through, it's time for the final preparations. Everybody with their own way of priming and readying themselves for the task ahead. But how are they feeling?
Good, I'm just staying very focused and just trying to enjoy it, because I feel if I think of anything else, it's just kind of messes me up, so I'm just staying very focused and just trying to enjoy it.
Well, a bit nervous because we're dancing first, so by trying to get warm as quick as possible.
And here's Edita in that first dance of the final. It starts with a solo performance of the slow foxtrot. Yes, Edita and Arunas been together for 11 years.
Yes, which has given them the opportunity to have the most wonderful technique. If you watch the lady when she closes her feet, they are immaculate.
And for me, Arunas has particularly worked on his posture and the very sharp silhouette that he produces, Karen.
Yeah, it's very appealing, isn't it? It's wonderful. And there's the reverse wave there. Again, one of the hardest steps to achieve in this dance.
I particularly like the timing and the holding of the positions that they go through. Very unhurried.
Very classical.
The first couple in the slow foxtrot, Arunas Buzokas and Edita Daniute from Lithuania. Next up from England, Jonathan Crossley and Kylie Jones. Runners-up in the World Championships last year, runners-up in the European Championships this year.
Yes, now we have Jonathan and Kylie, and I am sure that Jonathan is determined to dance a perfect feather, a perfect reverse wave.
Yes, they're going to be working hard tonight, Greg. They just recently won the international championships, so it's going to be quite a war on tonight, and let's hope the best man wins.
Well, this is top-class dancing from a top-class couple. As you can see, the balance and coordination, and no gapping.
Yes, and the man dancing a contra body movement, which means he has to step outside his partner without gapping.
Not easy.
And the dance very well received here. Jonathan Crossley and Kylie Jones from England. Next it's the Danes, Brian Eriksson and Marianne Eihilt. Another couple who've been together for some time, and over a decade, in fact, they've been competing. Karen, is it easy to keep the motivation going for such a long time?
Yes, most definitely. You become a team. If we look at the recently retired world standard champions, professional champions, Marcus and Karen Hilton, MBE, they were together since their youth years. So these guys will have a great chance tonight, I'm sure.
And now we come into a classical step into the feather.
There's a lovely top line that they hold. Greg, they always look so elegant, this couple.
Well, the importance is the balance, Karen. Once you're balanced and know exactly where your weight distribution is, it obviously becomes easier.
Brian Eriksson and Marianne Eihilt. And from the Danes we move to the Italians, Alessandro Fermo and Michele Cerea, ranked 5 in the world.
I guess they're going to feel pretty, well, not pressured, Karen, but William Pino and his partner, Alessandra, were former Italian champions and world champions. This young man probably has to fill his boots.
Yes, and what a difficult task that will be, but they're holding it together well. One thing I do find with the lady, when we were talking about the top line earlier, she does tend to hold her head quite a way back. As you can see, it's definitely improved from when I saw her recently, but it could be a factor that the judges will take into account tonight.
Alessandro Fermo, Michela Chorea for Italy. Just two couples to go in the slow foxtrot, and that big cheer for the second Italian couple, Mirko Gozzoli and Alessia Betti. Couple ranked second in the world. They were fourth in the European Championships earlier this year.
Well, now there you can see the leg extension, Karen, that's so important for movement in slow foxtrot as the lady moves backwards. I'm just wondering if her dress is not restricting her in some places.
Yes, I do tend to agree. It looks a little bit heavy. However, I do find this lady matches her man so well. She just sits there in harmony.
Mirko Gozzoli and Alessia Betti, the second Italian couple we've seen so far. Now for the second English couple, Roberto Villa and Michelle Barry. They're the last of the 6 couples in the slow foxtrot final.
Yes, now there you have a very concentrated Roberto Villa, waiting for his lady to come into him in order to achieve a perfect reverse turn. Michelle's heels closing. And looking very, very relaxed. And as Michelle said early on, she just wanted to focus. Karen, that means muscular memory, doesn't it?
Muscular memory, and as much as they look like they're performing to the audience, they really won't be very aware of what's around them. The movement through each other's body, they have to be totally aware of each other to be able to read the messages, because as you can see, we can't talk to each other. The body language and the direction is all decided through the body, so that focus is very important.
Thank you.
Roberto and Michelle bringing the solo performances to an end. And now the couple's invited back onto the floor for the group rendition of the slow foxtrot. Are there any changes in your performance from the solo to the group rendition?
Well, yes, I think you have to be now more aware of the traffic. And because in the solo section, it's so much easier for the adjudicators to visualize and watch the couples. And I think that's such a good thing with the format of solo dancing. But now, it's very, very difficult. Well, in order to maintain just what Brian is showing here, the balance and coordination without anybody interfering with your performance.
So the slow foxtrot, both the solo and the group renditions are over. Time now for the marks. Crossley and Jones picking up an incredible 8 first placings. Villa and Barry picking up the one they missed, along with 7 second placings and a third. The Italians Gozzoli and Betty all threes bar one. A solid 4th place for Fermo and Chirea, but it's close between Lithuania and Denmark, despite the Danes picking up a 2nd place from the German adjudicator. We move on now to the 2nd dance of the final. It's the waltz. We begin with the Danes, Brian Eriksson and Marianne Eihilt.
Yes, there was a good technical whisk there, Karen, and I think you can see now the expertise of all of these top couples.
Yes, and I know that Jonathan here, he's an avid golfer, so I hope that his practice of golf is going to help him with his swing and sway in this dance, which is of utmost importance.
Well, I was just going to say, I hope Jonathan's swing is as good as his golf swing.
Greg, a live band here, is that an advantage or a disadvantage?
Well, it can be a disadvantage sometimes. A lot of the couples prefer the sound of a live band, but then tempos may often change. But they do say that the atmosphere comes through when there is live music.
And the quality of the band can affect the quality of the performance?
Well, it certainly can. As I say, provided everything is linked to correct timing, then the couples don't mind too much. A much lighter, easier action coming from Roberta and Michelle, Karen. I've noticed that they've really concentrated on this aspect.
The waltz. And now we await the marks. Crossley and Jones again picking up 8 first places, with Villa and Barry picking up the remaining first and 8 second places. All the judges in agreement for the Italians. The Danes up to 4th place this time, just above Fermo and Chirea from Italy, and the Lithuanians, Bizokas and Danute. And the dancers back on the floor for the final of the tango.
Keď sa do neba dívam, vidím tam obraz tvoj.
Now, this is a particularly good dance of Roberta Villa's, I find, and Michelle's. Karen, the feet are most important.
Yes, a word that will come up a lot is the terminology of footwork. Wouldn't be so apparent to the general public, but these couples have to train immensely hard on whether they lead with a heel or whether they lead with a toe or whether they land with a flat foot or an inside edge of foot. If they make an error in any way, the judges will have no problem but to penalize them or put them at a lower positioning. Another characteristic of this dance, Greg, is the positioning of the knees. They actually have to be danced, you can almost say inverted towards each other, as you can see there. It's very hard to maintain a position. There's a lovely, beautiful line from Jonathan. Unfortunately today, though, some of them are getting a little bit ineffective. However, these world-class dancers tonight are making a fantastic job of dancing them correctly.
The end of the tango, and let's see how the judges have voted this time. Well, not as decisive for Crossley and Jones, still 5 first places, enough to keep them in first place overall. Vila and Barry just behind them, along with the Italians. It's still close among the bottom 3, though, this time the Italians just leading the Danish and Lithuanian couples. Our next final, the Viennese Waltz.
So now, Karen, here we want to see very good sway, swing and sway on the natural turn. No passing of the feet into a reverse turn.
And here we can see the fleckel being danced, which means initially the dancers will dance around the edge of the floor, and then they'll enter into the center where they will dance the fleckel, which means they're turning on the spot. And then they'll exit again, which can often be quite challenging when you've got 2 or 3 couples in the middle. It's quite a war.
It certainly can. And there you have Roberto and Michel with exactly the right amount of sway, I think, in their natural turns.
Well, as you can hear, the crowd really love that. And how about the judges? No surprise to see Crossley and Jones still up there on top, but a couple of third places there, followed once again by Vila and Barry and Gotzeli and Betty. The bottom half, though, still quite mixed. The Danes placed second by the German judge, but the 4th, 5th and 6th placings distributed amongst the bottom 3. Now it's the quick step and the chance for the couples to perform individually again for the judges. At the start, couple number 62, Roberto Vila, Michel Barry.
And Greg, I think this is going to be the dance for Roberto. As I understand, he used to be a player for Juventus in Turin.
Well, there you go. He's obviously a very fit young man.
Excellent footwork.
Yes, you need to have very strong ankles and pretty strong toes for this sort of action. Maintaining very good timing in this dance, which is not easy. A little bit of jive there, Karen.
Yeah, I feel so too.
But it was the quick step from Roberto Vila and Michel Barry. Now the first of the 2 couples from Italy, Mirko Gotzeli and Alessia Betti.
And a very interesting piece of choreography executed there by Gozzoli. And again there, Greg, what do you think about this work?
Well, yes, that last little piece was, for me, slightly out of character. I think sometimes people can try to be a little bit too silly with the choreography and therefore lose the character, the basic character of the dance. That was a bit more pure.
Mirko Gotzeli and Alessia Betti. Now for the second of the Italian couples, Alessandro Fermo and Michela Cirea.
Certainly in no hurry, and there we start with jive.
Well, Well, that was a very interesting start there. I've never seen that done before. Well, we'll have to see what the judges think about that.
Well, having said that, he's now picked up into an excellent quick step.
And the crowd are loving them. It's that Italian blood, Greg.
Yes. Maybe he was also a footballer before, Karen. He looks very fit indeed.
Dazzling footwork, and listen to the response from the crowd. Fermo and Chorea from Italy. We're halfway through the quick step as the Danes, Brian Eriksson and Marianne Eihilt, take to the floor.
I believe this is this couple's favorite dance, Karen. Did you pick that up? And because I noticed in the performance, he looks very, very confident.
Yeah, and they make it look so simple. It's wonderful.
I particularly like the timing of this.
That was a lovely step.
Yeah, very. Just the right amount of action, not overdoing it. I'm not sure about that.
No, that should have been left for the Latin section.
Brian Eriksson and Marianne Eihilt from Denmark. And now the couple who scored first places in all of the 4 dances so far in this final, Jonathan Crossley, Kylie Jones from England. They've led in every stage up until now, hoping to keep it going.
It's interesting, Greg, how everyone's starting to have this opening to their quick step.
Yes, I think it comes from doing so many demonstrations and shows throughout the world. It shows a lot of confidence. I'm just a little bit worried there about Kylie's right arm. She tends to extend it a bit straight. I'm not sure if it's her fault or Jonathan.
Yeah, the top line is very important. However, they're dancing very well, Greg.
Oh, excellent. I know, really beautiful dancing, but just the elbow worries me.
Jonathan Crossley and Kylie Jones from England maintaining their challenge. And now for the final couple, couple number 2, Arunas Bizakas and Edita Danute from Lithuania.
Greg, this couple are going to be very happy tonight breaking into this final again. I'm sure they were disappointed a couple of weeks ago at the International Championships, but they are dancing superbly now.
Yes, and you see also now maintaining this body contact that we were talking earlier about, which is very difficult to do in a quick step, I personally believe. That was a very good example.
The Lithuanians, Bizokas and Danute. And so to the last dance of this World Championship. And to finish it off, it's the group quick step. And the audience right into this now.
I think what I love, Simon, is that the audience can feel how difficult the work is. I mean, I know that we're only holding one position, unlike the Latin, where we're allowed to do a great variation of work. These couples are restricted, and yet they're still able to get such crowd appeal. It's so difficult to create power and energy in that restricted handhold. And I think the solo performances earlier reflected that.
Yes, much easier to see for the audience. And now it's pure adrenaline. These couples know that it's coming up towards the end of this dance and are determined to dance as perfectly as they can.
Well, the crowd have just lapped it up. A terrific evening. And the dancers showing their appreciation as well. And as they leave the floor for the final time before the presentation, let's take a look and see how the judges scored that final dance. Look at that, 6 first places again for Crossley and Jones, keeping them on top. Villa and Barry second, Gotzley and Betty third once again. The other Italian pair holding on to 4th place in the quick step, the Danes just below them 5th, the Lithuanians in 6th. So no doubt about who's going to take first place overall here. Smiles all round, everyone knows it. Edita knows it as well. It's not going to be her night tonight. The couples preparing themselves for the final presentation ceremony. And it's the Italian couple, number 14, Mirko Gotzley and Alessia Betti. Ranked 2 in the world, they take 3rd place here. And the medals and trophy presented to them by Heinz Baker, the sports director of the IDSF. In 2nd place, it's the world number 1s, Roberto Villa and Michelle Barry from England. And now to the moment they've been waiting for. First place for Jonathan Crossley and Kylie Jones from England. No arguments and real appreciation from the crowd. And look at that. A whole mixture of emotions, relief, ecstasy, and real pride as well. Runners-up last year, but this year they're going to be crowned the 2000 World Standard Champions. Terrific moment. And here's confirmation of the final standings in this year's World Standard Championship. England taking 1st and 2nd, Italians 3rd and 4th, the Danes 5th, the Lithuanians 6th. So what does the title mean to the newly crowned world champions?
Of all the major competitions, we won all of them that we wanted to win, and this was the final one that we really so wanted to win. And it's a nice Christmas present. So.
It's a wonderful Christmas present. It's so much hard work, and
but
it's
been a very, very long year. We've worked so hard from January through till December, and it's finished the
put the icing on the cake, and it's just, I don't think it's sunk in yet, really.
Well, as the English pair come to terms with their early Christmas present, the Christmas theme continues in Bratislava as the rest of the couples are invited to join the world champions back on the floor for a fitting finale to this year's World Standard Championship. A lovely end to the evening and a fitting end to competition for the year 2000. From Greg, from Karen and myself, goodbye for now.